Hi Stats class, it's Miss O'Neill. Today's video is focusing solely on practicing solving proportions. And this video is going to help you in being able to answer your solving proportions classwork assignment. With that being said, first we have to remind ourselves that a proportion is two ratios that are being set equal to each other. It could represent any fraction equal to another fraction. But when we are solving, the big thing here is that they are telling us we have an unknown value, a variable, a letter that we don't know how much it's worth. And that's kind of our goal. I want to know, what does x equal when I'm finished? And in this case, we're going to talk about x over 24 is equal to 4 over 5. Now, many of you are saying, Miss O'Neill, I can just plug in a value for x and try to figure out what number, guess and check, is going to make it so that way it's equal to that fraction. You can. You'll be here for a hot minute, okay? This is a shortcut. This is a way to prove to yourself that you can figure out the value immediately. Step number 1 is to cross multiply. And you guys might have heard cross multiply as cross products, the butterfly method, the X method, all kinds of different names for it. What it's telling you is that one number that you start at has to go across the equal sign to the other side. No matter where you start, you are going across the equal sign to the other side. And what you are seeing is that you are creating like this X method. Or some of you might have drawn the butterfly little thing with the wings. Okay? Step number 1 to cross multiply is you figuring out what times what will be put together. Step number 2. Simplify. If I know that x and 5 were put together, we have talked about that's 5, parenthesis, x, close the parenthesis. And remember, parentheses is standing for multiplication. So this is reading 5 times x. And it's got to equal the other part of our cross multiplication. 24 times 4. What I mean by simplify is after you have cross multiplied and you've written out your values, you need to get rid of these parentheses. Because if they're there, we can't do anything with our equation to be able to solve it. So simplify means get rid of the multiplication. 5 times x, that's 5x. Carry down your equal sign. 24 times 4, throw that into your calculator. And when you do that, 24 times 4 is 96. So, now that you've got yourself simplified and you've gotten rid of all of the extra parentheses, step number 3 is to get rid of the number that's next to the letter. If I want to know what x equals, x must be by itself. It should have nothing near it. So we have to ask ourselves, if I multiplied to get it together, the opposite of multiplication is to divide. And we're going to divide by the number next to x, or whatever letter you're working with. So if I look at x, the number next to it is 5. So I'm going to divide both sides by 5. And here's why. I want these to cross off. But if I divide it by 5 here, you must do the same thing on the other side because we're trying to remain equal. We don't want to throw off the balance. So this x comes down because 5 divided by 5 is 1. You don't have to write that. Carry down your equal sign. And then, again, we're doing a little bit of simplifying here. 96 divided by 5 is going to be what? This is your last step. We call it reducing. 96 divided by 5 in your calculator is 19.2. Do not panic with decimal answers. Remember what I said in the last video. I like all numbers. So you could have a negative, you could have a decimal, you could have a really, really crappy number, and it doesn't make a difference. We can always check it. If you want to do a check, what you are going to be doing is taking your original proportion, and instead of seeing x, you should be replacing it with 19.2. And if I did my proportion correctly, I should be able to do cross multiplication, and both of these pieces should equal the same exact number. 24 times 4, we've already practiced that earlier. That was 96. 19.2 times 5 is 96. If they are equal, we have, check, the right answer. Solving proportions. 4 steps. Cross multiply first. Use parentheses to set it up. Step 2, simplify. Multiply your pieces. Get a simple answer. Step 3, divide by the number next to x or y or the letter m, whatever letter you're working with. And then the last step is to reduce. Get rid of the division here and then get your final answer. Solving proportions.